and it will be explosive. Good evening and welcome to the 4X International Rugby League Test Series. The big league is back where it belongs on 7 for this 3-test series between Australia and New Zealand. First match tonight coming to you from Olympic Park in Melbourne. On the record, we've played the Kiwis 66 times since 1908. The record favours Australia 43-23, but they have beaten us a couple of times in recent years, and the former Australian and Queensland representative Paul Hauff, you've been on the receiving end from the Kiwis. Can they do it again tonight?
Gary, I believe the Australians will win and win well. The two players who can lift the New Zealand side, however, are Gary Freeman, the Balmain halfback and captain, who will drive his players onwards, and Imasi Kalota. What a player he is from the Widnes Club. He runs fast. He's a hard-running, mobile back rower. He could lead the way for them.
Well, prior to selection, this was probably the most talked about Australian team in history. Former St George and Western Suburbs coach Roy Masters. Have we got the right team?
Absolutely the right team. The best one that we could possibly put on the field. Only two new caps. Steve Walters, the hooker, the form rate in the New South Wales Premiership, and of course big Paul Hauff, the fullback, whose sidestep is so big it could he could straddle the North and South Islands of New Zealand.
Okay, Australia versus New Zealand, the first of a 3-test series. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. Let's take a look at the teams head-to-head with Pat Welch.
The fullbacks will be all nerves tonight. Australia's Paul Hauff makes his test debut less than 12 months after breaking into first grade. Frano Botica played 27 times for the All Blacks, but this is only his 3rd rugby league test. On the flanks, Australia has 2 speed machines, Andrew Ettingshausen and Dale Shearer. Both are 25 and have vast test experience. Auckland's Dave Watson is on one wing for the Kiwis, while Jason Williams makes his debut after scoring 12 tries for South Sydney this season. The Australian centres have 30 tests between them. Mal Meninga, Captain Colossus, has played 29 of them. 27-year-old Chris Johns is one of 4 Brisbane players in the back line. The Kiwis are inexperienced. Jarrod McCracken is 20, Richie Blackmore is 21. Both made their debuts against France this year. Australia's halves, Lewis and Langer, are world-class. Lewis, the king, playing his 33rd test. Langer, tipped as the heir apparent. But New Zealand pair Tony Kemp and captain Gary Freeman won't respect reputations. Kemp is Mr. Versatile. Freeman, a veteran at 29, is one of the league's toughest competitors. Australia's lock is 21-year-old Bradley Clyde, rated amongst the finest talents in the game, while Tawera Nikau has already attracted offers from British, Sydney and Kiwi clubs. The second rowers are all huge men. Ian Roberts plays his 2nd test. Bob Linder, the star of Australia's last Kangaroo Tour, is 105 kilos. But they're outweighed by the Kiwi pair. 110-kilo Emoso Kolotu was tipped as the next All Blacks number 8, while Dean Cowboy Lonergan is 100 kilos. The Australian props are Martin Bella and Steve Roach. Bella, the biggest man in the team. Roach plays his 19th test. The Kiwis have Peter Brown, now 29, from English club Halifax, and Brent Todd, who's won 2 Sydney premierships with Canberra. Australia's hooker is debutant Steve Walters, the 3rd of the Walters dynasty from Ipswich in Queensland to play for Australia, while New Zealand have 25-year-old Dwayne Mann. He's been the Kiwi hooker since 1989. Australia's reserves are Hasler, Jackson, Cartwright and Gillespie. Friend, Mann, Patton and Mercer are on the bench for New Zealand. Bob Fulton will coach Australia. Bob Bailey coaches New Zealand.
And there has been a late positional change for the Kiwis. Dave Watson and Richie Blackmore have swapped positions. Watson coming into the centres and Blackmore going out onto the wing. The build-up continues here at Olympic Park in preparation for the first test. Australia and New Zealand coming up shortly.
There is the man that has captained Australia on 25 occasions, Wally Lewis. He is last out of the tunnel for the Australians.
And here comes the black and white dynamite, the Kiwis, led out by Gary Freeman. What a night for Gary Freeman. What about the pressure on this man? Only a few weeks ago, dropped to reserve grade at Balmain, and here he is captaining his country in a test match against the world's greatest side, the Australians. As the Kiwi reserves now come out on the field, we go to Debbie Byrne, that great talent, to sing Advance Australia Fair.
On the sporting fields right around the globe, the Kiwis have a traditional reply. Here it is, the haka.
The stands are packed, the night is fine, the action's about to hot up. We're set to go for the first test after this break.
The referee for tonight's clash is Englishman John Holdsworth, and there's the kickoff. Australia have won the toss and will run with the breeze. Martin Bella brought down in heavy tackling right on his own quarterway. First tackle of the evening. Linder will hit it up, as he did so successfully during the Kangaroo Tour. He'll be one of Australia's linchpins tonight. Walters at dummy half. Steve Roach, big welcoming reception for him. Plenty of power in his Kiwi packer. One of their players is down injured already as we see the first break of the evening. Walters with a dash from dummy half. Offside, the Kiwis, first penalty of the night. And Australia had them on the ropes.
I've noticed straight away that the referee Holdsworth is getting them back a big 5 metres, which will certainly suit the Australians.
There's trouble here, John Harker.
Yeah, there certainly is. One of the Kiwis going into that tackle has been badly knocked down. He looks to be in a lot of trouble. We'll go sideline with John Brady.
John Lonergan got hit late in that tackle. We're not sure just how it happened, but he's not in a good way at all. He was just lying on the ground there convulsing a short time ago. They're very concerned about him. They've rushed straight out there. He still has hardly moved an inch.
As Wally Lewis finds touch, we'll see what they do with this tap play.
Bella charging onto that ball from a long way back. So the Australians on the boil, about 24 metres out from the New Zealand line. Opening minutes of this first test match. The cutout pass to Roberts. He has difficulty handling. That ball could have gone loose. Freeman is struggling for it. And another penalty.
Well, this is certainly in kicking range, this one. He's sure to go for the points. As we look at the replay here, there's a little bit of work going in on Steve Roach and the back play as well, and that's the replay of the Kiwi being hurt. Lonergan, he's still down injured. Meninga is going to take this kick at goal, but Lonergan is in a lot of trouble.
Big clash of heads there, and that'll be a big blow for the New Zealanders if Lonergan has to come off. One of the real tough men of this pack, and one of the more experienced players. He's already played 9 tests. But nevertheless, the Australian skipper, as I said, captaining his country for the 8th time this evening, has it set just to the left-hand side of the uprights and about 24 metres out. Roy hasn't been in great form with the boot this year, and I know Shearer's on standby.
Well, he's one of the very few people, of course, that kick in the orthodox way. Almost all the goal kickers that are coming up internationally are the ones who kick round the corner. The orthodox ones tend to have greater inaccuracy, particularly on the wet surface like this.
Meninga has it set, and he's missed it. You can see from the crowd and hear from the crowd behind the goal post, the big Kiwi contingent here tonight. A relatively easy kick from Mal Meninga. Here comes Lonergan from the field. So that is a big blow for New Zealand very early in this test match. John Holdsworth is holding up proceedings while a replacement is made.
There was no indication from the referee that it would be a head-bin case.
And the replacement is going to be big George Mann from St Helens. I've seen him go around plenty of times, and he'll give the Australians plenty of curry, George Mann. He's just stripping down there in the enclosure at the moment. But it looks like Lonergan wants to go back on, does he? He's moving very gingerly. They're going to start play with a man down.
Langer will field a good drop out to big Paul Hauff, his first touch in international football. And the Kiwis let him know all about it. Plenty of tacklers there, including Jarrod McCracken, also making his debut tonight. The Australians work it to the halfway line. Plenty of willing runners. This is Linder, but they can't advance it past halfway. Right in centre field. Colotto, one of the tacklers. They've had all the ball, the Aussies. Lewis, cut out ball to Johns, and he's met very heavily. Good defence, Dave Watson.
Well, Mann's still not on the field. They should try and work it wide more often, the Australians, while there's only 12 men in the defensive line.
They're desperately on the sideline working on Big Lonergan to try and get him back out there, but this is a real disadvantage.
Surely the Kiwis understand the headbin rule. They can get a man out there as they're treating the injured player's head.
That's Frano Botica. Good return by him to about 15 metres short of the halfway line. Brent Todd, this is the hard yards man out of the New Zealand pack tonight. They work it on the blind side, but there's some good defensive work by the Australians. Bob Lindner leading them, and here comes Lonergan back onto the field.
Well, man who was warming up has gone back to the bench. Lonergan still looks very ginger, stepping very gingerly as this ball goes down for Paul Hauff, the big lanky Queenslander.
I know they've had a lot of trouble with the slipperiness of this ground, and all the Australians sent for new boots at the start of this week. As soon as they trained here, they realised there'd be problems and it could be slippery, and someone like Hauff, who takes such a giant stride, will obviously have problems tonight. Third penalty to the Australians. Holdsworth right on top of proceedings there, and obviously saw a little punch go in, John.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot, but it was enough, as we look at it here in the replay, of enough for Holdsworth to step in and award the penalty. There it comes in, as we can see, from Nikau, who is a player with not a great deal of experience. It was a lost ball, but it's gone backwards. Alfie Langer's picked it up, and Holdsworth is going to rule a knock-on here.
You saw there 3 penalties to 0. And obviously referee John Holdsworth not doing any favours to the Kiwis, despite the fact that he was a neighbour of Gary Freeman in Kippax in the UK a few years ago.
Well, here we are. This is the first chance we'll see of the Kiwis to attack. They've been defending right up till now.
This is McCracken. He unloads a good ball to Williams. Let's have a look at the South Sydney winger. He's been in sensational form. Virtually on the league scrap heap last year. He scored 12 tries and is the leading try scorer in the Winfield Cup this year. Man at dummy half. To Freeman, to Kemp. Kemp bringing it back inside. They're showing a willingness to throw the ball around, and there is space for the Kiwis out here right now. Botica gets it to 10 metres inside Australian territory. Freeman at dummy half. He wants to work at the blind side again. Kemp with the little kick for runners. Where are they? Blackmore's charging through. It's going to beat him into touch, and we'll have a scrum about 10 metres inside the Australian quarter line. But good constructive stuff from the Kiwis early in this test match.
Yeah, talking about the rugby league scrap heap, these young fellas, McCracken and, of course, Williams that you mentioned. Last year, Williams was playing for Guildford, and McCracken was playing in the far north coast of New South Wales for Port Macquarie. It's a big step up.
That's Hauff. Plenty of treatment for him as he came into the line. This is where the Australians have to do the hard work. Struggling through to the quarter line is Clyde. Good run. And a good hit by McCracken. Bob Fulton put great raps on this blonde-headed Canterbury centre, saying he was one of the best defensive centres he'd seen. Big cheer for the Emperor, Wally Lewis, as he attempts to break a tackle. Dummy by Hauff, and Hauff will make 10 or 15 metres upfield. Good run. This is where the Kiwis have to tighten up, as around the rucks, and we're going to see another penalty.
No, it's a knock-on, Pat. A little knock-on from Paul Hauff. That's twice now on early tackles the Australians have knocked on, giving the Kiwis possession back from this scrum inside the Australian half. It'll go down 10 metres inside Australia's half.
Well, right through their training sessions, the Kiwis have shown a willingness to run this ball, and they have done it already. Right around Lewis is McCracken. Stood him up beautifully with that inside step, but ran into trouble.
And this is danger with a man with a boot like Botica. This is danger. Any penalty anywhere inside your own half is real danger territory.
There's a lot of gamesmanship now since, of course, they've introduced this rule that ball stealing is prohibited, and the referees often turn around, look out the defensive line, and the ball comes loose, and they immediately assume that it's the defensive player's fault. Quite often the attacking player may have released the ball.
Yeah, I think Roberts might have had a little niggle in that one though, Roy. Just looking at there on the replay.
Obviously, we have Victorian ball boys this evening too. They haven't quite worked out when to get that sand out into the field. Out he comes now.
Well, the Kiwis even wanted sand to kick off to commence the game, so they certainly want every bit of distance they can get.
It's a fair way out, but he is a real super boot, Botica. There's no doubt about that. We'll just see here whether he's got his kicking boots on this evening. Frano Botica, a player we know played 7 tests for the All Blacks. This is his 4th test in rugby league for New Zealand.
And during the 2 tests against France just recently completed, he kicked 15 from 19, so he has 30 points from those two tests. He has it lined up about 36 metres out, just to the right-hand side of the uprights. He's got the distance. Has he got the direction? No, he hasn't. Hauff will bring it out. Steps well, Hauff. What a debut he's having, the big man from the Brisbane Broncos. Gets it to 20 metres out, and the crowd loving.
Well, that's Paul Hauff's 5th hit-up so far this match, and of course we're not a long way in. The Australians are being a bit adventurous inside their own territory.
Well, there are enormous gaps in the New Zealand defensive line because they've got a condensed defence, leaving big gaps out wide.
Well, boy, this is risky stuff. Meninga that took the long ball, it went through his legs, and fortunately Shearer was there to clean up. So the Australians throwing it. And now Linda will settle things down for them. Walters, he's been dangerous from dummy half. The other debutant hit in a huge tackle, loses the ball. McCracken pops it up. This is Lonergan looking for support out wide, and that's Botica chiming into the line.
That's the 3rd time the Australians have lost the pill inside their own territory. I know they're being adventurous because of these gaps, but surely Bob Fulton would want them to kick earlier in the tackle count.
Well, the Kiwis again toss it wide, only the 2nd tackle. Are they going to do some hard stuff up the middle? This time they will. This is big Peter Brown. They're working on the blind side to Brent Todden. He's making good meaties. Man at dummy half to Freeman. Freeman with options. Works the run around with Kemp, but then the kick through. Hauff's there to cover it again. And beats another player. Gets to Freeman, and Freeman cuts him down. That's the way the big man should be tackled. Here comes Shearer charging onto it. Trying to upset the Kiwi defence before they reorganise themselves. They've used that chip 2 or 3 times tonight, the Kiwis. Ian Roberts. Working it to about 15 metres from his own halfway line, right in centre field. Very mild night here in Melbourne, still 14 degrees the temperature. Roach unloading a risky pass. Ettingshausen has to jump back. The ball was knocked back, says referee Holdsworth. Lewis to Hauff, who had his hands on his hips, but has plenty of time to get a wobbly kick away. Botica's right under it, and Botica will start to march it forward. Steps well and steps straight into Allan Langer, who tackles well. Here they come on the charge. Williams loves to go looking from work, coming in from that left wing. Plenty of Australian defence there for him. Todd again. He's got through plenty of work for the Kiwis so far.
The Australian team have been quite surprised by the physical strength of the Kiwis. I think that they're quite amazed at how rugged and how dominant they are in terms of physique.
Here comes Shearer picking up a loose ball. He's only got Botica to beat. He puts the chip in. Bringers from Dale Shearer. He's lost it with the line there. Oh, how close. Colotto coming in with the try saver. McCracken's been hit in a giant tackle.
And the pass has gone forward as there's a small stink on between Chris Johns and Williams. Not a lot in that, but Dale Shearer was quick to swoop on that loose ball after it was given to him from Mal Meninga. He scooted down the sideline, the little chip over the top, but well defended by Amosi Colotto. And then the Kiwis tried to immediately turn defence into attack and throw a forward pass. So after this, I imagine, small chat here with referee John Holdsworth. You would think he'll put the scrum down, and that's exactly what he's done. There wasn't a lot in that blue, but the pass did go forward from the Kiwis, so this is a chance for the Australians to attack as they come up with the scrum feed from Allan Langer.
Well, how close was Dale Shearer?
Great attacking position, though, Pat.
He's capable of that little bit of individual brilliance. Langer and Lewis work the run around. They've done it so many times before in club football. Langer hit by a strong tackle. They work the blind side. This is Bradley Clyde stepping his way. He's only about 2 metres from the try line. Walters screaming for a dummy half. Oh, they were on Langer very quickly.
They were offside.
They lose 5 or 6 metres. Lewis again to Meninga with the cutout pass. It's been intercepted, knocked down by one of the Kiwis. Possible try saver there. So Langer feeds the scrum and gets it out to Meninga again. This time the big man has space. He has Hauff. Oh, Ettinghausen's fallen. He wasn't tripped. He fell over and may have injured his arm in the process. So he had no one outside him. Lewis continues to work at the blind to big Ian Roberts, who takes the small men on out there. He gets to about 5 metres short of the line. The dummy half is Bob Lindner. Looking for Meninga on the charge. Running like a forward. The crowd love this. Has he got it down? Held up. Held on his back, says referee Holdsworth.
Holdsworth was right on the spot. He was well positioned in the end goal. As Meninga, a big man, very tough to stop from there. We look at this on the replay. Meninga hitting it up Very tough to stop from 10 metres out, but good defence from the Kiwis and a good decision from Holdsworth as the Kiwis are back in possession.
They definitely rolled him over, no doubt.
Well, that was Nikau he was trying to run over the top of, and he's close enough to 100 kilos. He can see the power and the strength of the Australian skipper. So now the Kiwis, with the hard yards to make, they've got to work it outside their own quarter-way. Freeman at dummy half, Australia offside. This will ease the pressure. Freeman gets it almost by mistake, kicks it in behind Hauff. It'll sit up nicely for the Australian skipper. Australian fullback, I should say. Watson is there, but so too is Freeman, chasing his kick through. Linda at dummy half with a good run to the blind side. Beats one, can't beat man. Very strong hooker. The only professional hooker in New Zealand. Kicks in general play so far. 6 to the Kiwis, 4 to Australia.
Yet Australia are running with the win in this first half.
This is Roach. Dummies one way, goes himself. The Twain man is there with assistance from Brent Todd to knock him over about 37 metres out. It goes to Lewis. Lewis has to throw a huge pass across to Hauff as he again is flattened as the ball came to him. Good kick by Hauff, making Botica do all the chasing this time.
I noticed that Lewis is often the last man to come back on side after a kick, and it'll take him a long time before he joins this attack. If somebody runs straight at Lewis like Kemp can, Wally could let a tackle go by.
That was Botica receiving a mauling from big Mal Meninga. The Kiwis just outside their own quarter-way. Still 0-0 here at Olympic Park in this historic test match. Freeman, there's a gap there for him. He finds it easily. Where's the support? He pops it inside. Now McCracken has it. The big centre starts to wind up, but the Australian cover was equal to the moment.
The two youngsters, Watson and McCracken, good combination as Freeman runs at the blind and tries a little chip.
He's taken out a player as he runs into the back of Bella. What's going to happen here? Holdsworth moving to the spot. Penalty, Kiwis.
Well, the referee's awarded the penalty where the ball landed, which he's entitled to do, but that's assuming, of course, that Freeman was obstructed by an Australian. I believe that Freeman ran into his back.
Yeah, we're looking at the replay here. I tend to agree with you. Freeman has put over the little chip. This is a replay of the play before where he links up with Watson and McCracken. Good work from the two youngsters, the two centres. And the following play, Freeman puts the little chip over. And for mine, I agree with you, Roy. I think he ran into Martin Bella's back. But that's elementary now. Referee Holdsworth has awarded the penalty. Botica gets a second chance now to break this deadlock in the historic test match, as was said, in front of 28,000 fans here at Olympic Park, Melbourne.
Still waiting for the sand to come out, Roy, while we've got a moment to speak. Bob Fulton was also saying that the man who has been dropped by Alan Jones to reserve grade in Sydney at the Balmain club was ready to explode tonight. He said rarely has he seen a test player under more pressure, and boy, isn't he responding.
He's responding, but he's not exploding, Pat. I mean, he's playing a very good captain's knock. He's keeping the team very well together. His tactical kicking is outstanding. He's stopping them making adventurous passes. His tactics are he is playing a very good thinker's game.
Now Frano Botica has it set. 0-0 here. Both the kickers for their respective sides have had shots at goal. Meninga and Botica missing them both. This is set about 12 metres in from touch to the right-hand side of the upright. Slight breeze against it. Looks good in flight. The touch judges agree with it. It's 2-0 at Olympic Park. New Zealand lead Australia in the first test.
On the Subaru scoreboard, yes indeed, it's 2-0 in favour of the Kiwis.
Meninga to restart play here at Olympic Park. Kiwis in there in goal. They'll start to march it out. Plenty of Australian defence there. This is Watson. Watson running across field and throwing it again. He gives it to Botica, who's got a little bit of space to move. Lewis rounds him up and drags him almost into touch over on the far side of Olympic Park, where there's a big contingent of Kiwis. They get it outside their own quarter-way. Man at dummy half. The long pass to Freeman. Freeman with the cutout ball to Todd. Todd gets it outside a corner.
And we can already see that the error count on the score of the Australians is looking a little bit horrendous. The Australians have made 8 handling errors so far in this first half. The Kiwis just a solitary 1.
On the blind side, big Brown. Brown being driven towards touch, but he stays in. Look for Kemp. Kemp again given plenty of time to put his kick in. Awkward bounce for Paul Hauff. It bounces away from him. He's back inside his own quarter, and there is a host of Kiwi chasers. Watson will be first to him. It brings him down well with Brent Todd over the top.
Well, the Kiwis may have only played France in a couple of tests, but they're certainly showing good combination here, something that the Australians coming out of a three-game State of Origin series are not showing.
That's a good run by Bradley Clyde.
Steve Walters has got to do more of what he tried just then. And that's running from dummy half and trying to break up this Kiwi defence. You'll notice when the Australians attack, they love to get to the ball coming to Meninga on the right, because Meninga's got a big left-hand fend. That's the way he likes the ball coming to him.
Walters looks for Langer. Langer to Lewis. Lewis across field and trying to link with Meninga. Meninga now on the inside, but he throws it to Hauff instead, who steps away from the defence, but it's rounded up over there by Dean Lonergan. On the fifth tackle, Langer. That's a good kick from Langer, forcing Botica well back into his in goal. It comes off the goal post. Botica has a bit of time to move it up. Tries to run away from Langer, but Langer is so good in that position when he's chasing his own kicks. Not a struck match between these two teams so far tonight, and it's been entertaining football as well. It's gone from one end of the field to the other. Some mighty hits and some good free-flowing play. Lonergan on the blind side. This is the man that took that heavy head knock in the opening seconds of the game. He's bounced back superbly. He's used to head knocks. He's a professional fighter on the part-time in New Zealand and loves to jump into the ring. Big cowboy Lonergan.
Well, we'll have in Australia, we'll have a chance to attack fairly soon. And it's going to be in New South. It's going to be in the opposition territory.
Well, that's a bad kick from Freeman. Shearer has a bit of space to move, but he's dragged down.
The Australians still look slow to get back on side for mine. I don't know whether they're having troubles with these long studs on this heavy ground, but they're taking a long while to get back on side.
They're intimidated by the strength of the Kiwis. But here we are with our first chance. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a move involving these back row three very soon, or a switch across the ruck move.
Plenty of defence there for Roberts. They're going to continue to work the blind side. Big blocker Roach is calling for it. He's cut out and it goes to Martin Bella. Bella dragged down about 32, 33 metres out. Only 10 metres in from touch on the main grandstand side here at Olympic Park. The long ball from Lewis. Langer is standing out the line and he's got Linda running off him on the inside, but the Kiwi defence was equal to it. That was a great tackle by Nikau. Langer trying to do it himself. He's got to Walters. Walters had no one there. Langer doubled around on the inside to Ettingshausen. Now they put the kick up. It was all fairly risky stuff. And Frano Botica has plenty of time to drag it in. And a good run from Botica.
Well, I hope Australia's got better than that on their next time that they use their back row three. The move of Linda coming in was telegraphed. Everybody could see that.
And they were completely disorganised on the fifth tackle. The Kiwis down inside their own quarter. It's Williams to Kemp. Those rather flamboyant shorts this evening.
I don't know about them being disorganised, Pat. I think Langer chose to deliberately run it on the fifth, knowing that he had a player like Ettingshausen outside him, who could always put in the kick in if needed. What they were disorganised was the chasing game back to Botica when he got the ball.
Freeman's calling for it again. We'll put that crossfield kick, sending Ettingshausen back for it. It sits up nicely for him about 15 metres inside his own half. He's got space to wind up the speedster from Cronulla. He's trying to run away from Watson, but Watson chases him and tackles him well right around the ankles. Here goes Walters again from dummy half. He's made a couple of telling raids there. That was Clyde, I should say. Langer to Lewis. Where's the support? Now he pops it up for Hauff. Hauff trying to beat his man out there. But he won't beat Nikau. Big, strong, lock forward. Lewis to Bella. Bella busting the tackle of Freeman. You can hear that. Walters, Lewis again playing it close to the ruck. This time it goes to Roach. Roach on the charge, tries to pop it up. He gets it back to Bella, but Bella's lost it. The ball will be turned over. So New Zealand come up with it about 10 metres outside their own quarterway, and they're going to throw it again. Kemp, and there is room to move out here for Watson. Watson inside to McCracken, straight over the top of Alfie Langer. They pop it up again, and this is good stuff from the Kiwis. They're 8 metres inside their own territory, but that's a 20-metre run, and they've got Australia on the ropes at the moment. Offside, Australia.
And Bradley Clyde is down injured, Pat. Bradley Clyde looks to be in a little trouble as the Sheriff trainer goes out to give him some assistance, but now New Zealand will be back on the attack. They've played very well, the Kiwis.
Well, this is their first...
Penalties currently 4 apiece.
And, of course, this is our first chance that we'll see them. Where are the big guns in the New Zealand side? Who are the players that they're going to try and put through the gap here?
Well, again, they throw it out wide. New Zealand lead 2-0 here, midway through the first half in this first test. Frano Botica, he's rounded up by Lewis. Lewis will drag him down about 5 metres outside the Australian quarter line. Man, this is Brent Todd. The two big props meet, and they stop suddenly. Man again. Goes himself. Allan Steve Walters gets it to just inside the Australian quarter before he's driven back. Now he pops it up. Brown sidestepping superbly to Freeman. Freeman's going to go all the way as he knows he's dragged down and lost the ball. Great stuff. Brown with a brilliant sidestep. A centre three-quarter would have been proud of it, and he's a prop.
Freeman got the pass.
Captain.
Freeman got the pass away to Colodo. Colodo has lost it. And there's that big left-hand fender I was talking about from Mal Meninga, who comes into a bit of treatment from the Kiwis as they try and rake the ball back at 6 again.
Back to 6. Ettingshausen taken head-on by Freeman. Linda wants it. Linda gets it and makes good 10 or 12 metres.
The Australians are now being able to play the ball quickly and get a roller, which is allowing Steve Walters to do this, run from dummy half.
Great stuff, Steve Walters. What a debut he's having. Langer at dummy half. They're short on the left, the Kiwis. There's only 3 men over there in defence.
Now, 3 quick play the balls have resulted in Gary Freeman, the professional that he is. It's 2-0 currently to New Zealand, but the professional that he is, realising that the Kiwis were stretched, he's given away a professional penalty by holding Walters down, but he did make a good 20-metre burst from the dummy half position, and Freeman laid all over him in the tackle. But why not? Because the Kiwis were certainly well and truly stretched, but the Australians are now have possession inside the quarter line.
Significantly no shot from goal, despite the fact that it was in front. Langer to Shearer coming in off his wing. He's about 18 metres out, almost in front of the New Zealand goalpost. Lindner with that telling burst upfield again. Good stuff, Bob Lindner. He's back to his best after recovering from that broken leg. Some good short passing from the Australians close to the ruck. Meninga, they've used him twice in that position. He's only a couple of metres out. They're set to the right, the Australians. They'll go from dummy half. Is Steve Walters over for his first test try in his first test? Yes, he is. And over goes Steve Walters.
So on the Subaru scoreboard, the Australians now lead 4 points to 2. Steve Walters, a pushover try after the Australians had worked a crisscross dummy move that saw Meninga cart the ball up through the centre of the ruck. We pick it up now on the United Airlines replay, and you'll see the forwards, the big forwards running across the ruck, giving it back inside to Mal Meninga. Mal Meninga gets it to within 2 metres, and then Steve Walters burrows over for a good dummy half try.
The point about that move is that Bozo Fulton has clearly seen that the New Zealand markers split. One rushes to the left, one goes to the right, which therefore allows a big hole up the middle.
They call him box-head, and why not? There he is, box-head Steve Walters going in for Australia's first try. And now Mal Meninga will try and add the extras to see the Aussies go out to a 6-2 lead.
Well, what a moment for the Walters family. The first player ever to become the 3rd member of a family to play for his country. Kerrod and Kevin preceding him. Steve Walters grabbed his opportunity. He gives his skipper the easiest of kicks from right in front, and Australia will lead on the Subaru scoreboard 6 points to 2 here at Olympic Park in the first test. At Olympic Park here in Melbourne on the Subaru scoreboard, Australia lead New Zealand 6 points to 2 after that try from dummy half by Steve Walters. This is Bradley Clyde hitting it up to the quarterway.
Once again, the Australians will, Pat, be looking here for quick play the balls. That's what led to that last try, and of course, the penalty was finally given by Gary Freeman.
Bella held down in that tackle. He had his options, though, props running either side. Steve Roach got it and pops it back to Walters. Walters gets it to about 15 metres outside his own quarterway. Meninga goes to dummy half, looking for Lewis. This time he has plenty of time to kick. Kicks it away from Botica, looking for the sideline. The touch of a master. The King is back, and they love him. A couple of years out of the test arena.
And listen to the Melbourne crowd cheer. It might be rugby, but it's certainly they certainly appreciate a great skill when they see it.
As we pick it up here in the replay, the first time Meninga's really got deep enough and got good enough service from his dummy half to have time to kick. And what does he do? A brilliant kick, finds touch just 5 metres out. The Australians would love a tight head here, but these days, the way scrums are in rugby league, you'd give it 100 to 1. As Holdsworth's taking his time about getting the scrum set.
Well, Gillespie has come on for Australia. Roach is going to the blood bin to get a head cut repaired, and he'll be very quick to get out there.
Scrums 5-4 to Australia. There's Roach leaving the field with the blood. Not a great deal, but coming from his head enough to be put into the blood bin.
So the Kiwis now have to work it out from their own quarter. That's Colotta. 110 kilos of it. They work the blind side through Jarrod McCracken, popping into dummy half and making about 5 or 6 valuable metres. Freeman wants it again. They're going to throw it wide inside their own quarter. Kemp with the dummy. Allan Langer doesn't fall for it. He's taken shoulder high with a little Broncos halfback. They'll keep it going the blind side. This is Brown showing that step again. He's been constructive tonight, Brown, but he's injected himself into this game. Now back to Kemp for the kick, again with plenty of time. Looking for the sideline. It takes the big left-hand turn straight back to Paul Hauff, who hasn't had much to do in the last few minutes after a frenzied opening. This is Ettingshausen running it across field and back towards centre field. But plenty of defence there for him. Nikau over the top with assistance from Brent Todd. Langer. No one to pass it to. Now he finds Hauff with a little opening to start to move. He gets those big legs wound up and gets himself over the halfway line. Meninga to Gillespie, his first touch, replacing Steve Roach. Walters to his Queensland State of Origin teammate in Martin Bella, who makes good metres on the 5th tackle. Straight through the leg of Steve Walters. Where's he going to go? He finds out Lewis. Lewis puts it over the top. Back there is Blackmore. Blackmore will chase it, but Botica will get there first.
This game has taken on a different trend, of course, since just before the Freeman missed try. We are now seeing almost all of the game being played in the New Zealand quarter. It's the typical dominance of an Australian team just before half-time.
Freeman calling the shots again, and they start to toss it wide from right inside their own quarter. Plenty of defence, but good work by Brown as he pops it up for his winger, Jason Williams. Williams back towards centre field to Mann. Mann keeps it going to Freeman. Freeman, they start to work it upfield. The Kiwis will be dragged down. That was Colotta just outside his own quarterway. Here they go, they start to work it again. Good constructive ball work again by Brown. They're throwing it from one side of the field to the other, the Kiwis, but not making too many guards. 15 metres from the Australian quarter line, from the Australian halfway. On the blind side, Freeman. Oh, you could feel that. David Gillespie in with that huge hit on Colotta.
Well, I don't call him cement for nothing, and the little short kick, not a bad idea at this stage in the game. A few minutes before half-time.
Hauff has lost it. Here's danger. Here is danger. This is Nikau chasing it through, but it'll be cleaned up for Australia. And doing the cleaning up was Ian Roberts, but that was danger time for the Aussies, so close to halfway, so close to half-time, I should say, when they'd worked hard for that 6-2 lead. Bella set outside his quarterway. Still plenty of willing Kiwi defence there for him. Gillespie. Walters will go to dummy half. Langer, dummies, comes back infield, pops it to Walters again. They seem to be going nowhere, the Australians. Gillespie looking for a little hole in the centre of the ruck. It's not there. Brent Todd closes it up. So does Gary Freeman. On the 5th tackle. To Lewis. Lewis gets a good kick away again. Over the top of Frano Botica, and will bounce back towards the in-goal area. Bouncing awkwardly for Botica. He produces that big step and tries to duck under tackles. He couldn't get away from Mal Meninga, and he's slung to ground.
I can't imagine Australian coach Bob Fulton being overly happy with Holdsworth's handling of the play of the balls. I believe he's allowing the Kiwis to lay all over the Australians, and that's why the Kiwi defence has been able to negate most of the Australian attack so far in this game.
That was good, powerful defence there from Bella and Walters, the try scorers.
But Bozo Fulton will be very happy where the game is now being played, stuck in the New Zealand quarter.
On the Subaru scoreboard at 6-2 with the time ticking away towards half-time. The Australians, I think, would be very happy to go to the dressing rooms with that lead. Under pressure, that kick has got away. It's going to be out of the full. So the Australians will have a chance to mount maybe one final attack before the half-time siren sounds, and they're going to throw it straight away. Clyde into the back line. Good run from Clyde. Almost up to the New Zealand quarter line.
They had numbers out wide. Could have been better to give it to Chris Johns, who had Dale Shearer in support.
Linder on the inside to Shearer. Shearer pops it. It's out to Walters. Wallace to Lewis. Lewis with a good fast ball out there to Chris Johns, but he loses his footing. We've seen that happen a couple of times tonight. They're still about 32 metres out. Bella winding up for a big run. Then pops it back to Meninga. Meninga on the charge. Gets towards the quarter way. Oh, he popped the ball for little Alfie Langer, but Langer couldn't handle it. The ball is still rolling free, but it has gone forward. We'll bring it back for a scrum about 10 metres out from the Kiwi try line. Very little time to go before that half-time siren sounds.
As we pick up the replay here with Meninga running behind the defence, and the actual original inside pass to Langer was interfered with the Kiwi. The ball was still alive as Ettingshausen was struggling with Frano Botica to get to that pill.
Freeman to McCracken. McCracken trying to step his way around Meninga. He succeeds partially in doing that, but the big Australian skipper had slowed him down sufficiently for the defence to close. Again, this policy of tossing it wide in their own quarterway to Williams. Wow, what a great tackle, Chris Johns. He not only took out Watson, but he also took out Williams as well, as the half-time siren sounds here at Olympic Park in this historic first test. And on the Subaru scoreboard, it's Australia leading New Zealand 6 points to 2.
Australia leading New Zealand in the first 4X Rugby League test by 6 points to 2. The Kiwis have certainly been adventurous. The Australians at the outset looked a little ragged, but they certainly finished on strongly. Mal Meninga went over almost for a try, and then Steve Walters put the 4 points on the board for Australia that put us in the half-time position with great advantage. Well, Paul Vorton sitting with me, you were down at the sideline. You saw the Meninga try. Let's take a look at that, Paul, and see whether or not he did in fact ground the ball. I don't think so.
Held on his back, says referee Holdsworth.
Here it is in replay.
Some desperation defence here from the lock forward Nikau and Gary Freeman in there. I don't think Mal got it down. A good decision by referee John Holdsworth, who is having a fine game. Once again, Meninga going in. They roll him on his back, and no try.
Well, the Australians certainly had their hands full with the Kiwis, as I said. They were adventurous and playing with great confidence, running the ball and causing some anxious moments. But it was left to Steve Walters, the third of the Walters trio from Ipswich in Brisbane, to seal it for Australia at the halfway point when he went over, barged over for a try after some good lead-up work by Mal Meninga. Let's take another look at it.
He's back to his best after recovering from that broken leg. Some good short passing from the Australians close to the ruck. Meninga, they've used him twice in that position. He's only a couple of metres out. They're set to the right, the Australians. They'll go from dummy half. Is Steve Walters over for his first test try in his first test? Yes, he is.
Ballers in his debut match for Australia. What a great feeling he must be having right now.
I should think so, yes. They've certainly performed tremendous feats for Australia, the Walters brothers. Well, it wouldn't be a sporting telecast, I don't suppose, if we didn't have a viewer competition. We've certainly got one for you. You can win a Xerox fax. Here's how.
To win a Xerox Compact 7009 fax valued at over $2,000, all you have to do is answer these two questions. The first league test between Australia and the Kiwis was played in what year? And, including tonight's game, how many league tests have been played between the two countries? Write down the answers on the back of an envelope along with your name and address and send to 7 Sport, Post Office Box 7676, Epping 2121. First correct entry wins the Xerox 7009 fax, and the winner announced this Sunday on Sports World.
Well, the capacity crowd here at Olympic Park in Melbourne being entertained at half-time Kiwi fashion. They've certainly been entertained by the Kiwis through the first half of this match, although it is Australia in front on the scoreboard. And Roy Masters, as far as the statistics go, does that add up to put Australia in front as well?
Well, it's been a funny game. It's only in the last 10 minutes that Australia exerted any superiority at all. If you have a look at the tackle count, you'll notice that Australia has 63 tackles to the Kiwis 94, but Australia has made more errors. They've made 18 to New Zealand's 12. This reflects the very, very intense tackling by the Kiwis. They are putting a tremendous amount of effort, but it is having an effect in terms of the drain on their energy. I think that you'll find that Australia, in 10 minutes into the second half, will start running away with it.
I hope you're right. Australia leading New Zealand 6 points to 2. We'll be back for the second half after this.
So welcome back to Olympic Park, where Australia leads this historic first test by 6 points to 2. And there's the kickoff from Meninga. Australia running into a slight breeze in this second half. Freeman across field and tackled by his opposite number 10 metres out. The Kiwis start to run it out, and a good hit. That was Meninga, leading by inspiration. And they will have to do that in this second half. The New Zealand coach, Bob Bailey, has just spoken to his team at half-time. Bob, what did you tell them?
Well, I told them we forgot once in the first half about our double markers, and it cost us a try. Other than that, we're right into the game. So concentrate on our double markers, the first marker running away and chasing, and our second marker standing. That was very
Bob,
costly.
We appreciate you talking to us. We know you've got to get back to the game. Thank you very much. Hauff trying to run it out of his own in goal and does it well. McCracken is over the top to knock him down. Lindner back there quickly. He's trying to run across field. He'll get it to Dale Shearer. But more good defensive work by McCracken. The two centres back to back. This is Ettingshausen. Ettingshausen looking for a little gap on the side of the ruck. It closes quickly. Colotto, the giant second rower, was there to do it. This is Gillespie playing the ball to Shearer again. Second time he's handled in this set of 6. We're on the 5th tackle, and Steve Walters is a dummy half just outside his own quarterway to Lewis. They're again onto him fairly quickly. It'll be popped up for Blackmore. Blackmore mishandles.
Well, why wouldn't they be onto him fairly quickly? Holdsworth has again started the second half the same way he was in the first half, with a very small 5 metres.
Frano Botica, they continue to throw it wide. Watson met by a brick wall, and that brick wall was David Cement Gillespie. What a great tackle. Botica again, 10 metres inside his own half. John Brady is on the sideline with Paul Hauff. What is the word on Steve Roach? David Gillespie's still out there.
Okay.
We'll go to John in a moment. There's another kick off the side of the boot from Kemp, and it's out on the full. So these have been costly.
And let's go down to John Brady.
Yeah, thanks, John. Two things in the Australian camp. Firstly, Steve Roach is still not back on the bench. He's had to get 14 stitches in a head wound. They're still stitching him up at the moment. In the meantime, Bob Fulton's been concerned about the side's ball control, and he wants them to test them a lot more from dummy half than they're doing so far. Well,
why wouldn't he be concerned about the ball control? The handling errors, 10 to the Australians, 2 to the Kiwis, as they work the blind side, the Aussies.
Nevertheless, there are clear cut signs here of the Australian dominance. I feel that the Kiwis are the ones that are making the errors. The Australians are the one who are moving it about.
Now there's space. Meninga pushing out of tackles. He gives Shearer some room. He stands up Blackmore sensationally. It's inside to Lewis. Will Lewis score? And he's come back. Yes, he will. No try. No try. Held up.
And Lewis can't believe it. He's looking at Holdsworth. He's arguing with Holdsworth. He can't believe it. I said in the first half they love getting the ball to rampaging Mal Meninga on that side so he can use the big fend. This time it was the other side. On the United Airlines replay, he got it coming from the right-hand fend. And Shearer with the in and away. Shearer gets the ball back inside. A good pass to Wally Lewis, and Wally Lewis was held up by Gary Freeman, the Kiwi captain, with a try saver.
Well, I don't think Gary Freeman can hold up Wally Lewis that close to the line.
Oh boy, they'll talk about that one if it turns out to be decisive in this test match. Freeman tossing it wide. This is Botica, who's been heavily involved tonight. He'll play it to Man, one of the Aussies in the way. Brent Todd. It's to about 5 metres short of his own quarter line. This is Brown. Reefed to ground by good Australian defence. They're keeping the Kiwis in check, and this time the Kiwis have decided not to toss it around inside their own quarter. We're on the 5th tackle. Kemp. He's flattened after he kicked it, but it was, I think, in the motion of kicking, and there's going to be no penalty from that one. Kemp bounces quickly back to his feet as Hauff runs it well outside his own quarter. Another good run.
And here in the replay, you'll see Walters moving in very quickly on Kemp with that shoulder charge. Walters at no stage tried to play the ball, but he did hit him in the motion of the kick being put through.
So Walters to Langer. Langer with the long ball to Meninga. This is where they've been dangerous. To Johns in space. Johns breaking out. This is the first time we've seen him on the move. To Ettingshausen. Look at him fly. He's going to toss it inside. It's over the top of Meninga, who is in support. The Kiwis will clean up. Williams cleans up for them. Well, more scintillating backline stuff from the Australians, and they're starting to create holes out wide.
And both times it's involved big Mal Meninga, first putting Dale Shearer away. This time it was Chris Johns, the form centre of the Winfield Cup Premiership.
Well, I wonder, Roy, whether that was the message from Fulton. Did he say to them, well, they're prepared to toss it around, should we toss it around as well?
I think that he asked them to start the game very confidently in the second half. He would not have wanted half-time to come. They were clear-cut signs of dominance were there.
That's a good ball to Todd. Todd with fingertip control. He's trying to set up Williams. Williams on Ettingshausen. Oh, good tackle, Andrew Ettingshausen. He's got a great in and away Williams. We've seen it in the Winfield Cup a couple of times this year. Good stuff, Andrew Ettingshausen. To Freeman. The defence pounces on him quickly.
That'll be a turnover. It was the fifth tackle. The defence moved up very quickly in the form of Ettingshausen and Linda. Man striking for that ball.
Well, they're playing a lot more confidently in their second stanza, the Australians. Langer dragged down just inside his own territory. The Kiwis hang all over the top of him. They get it back inside to Bobby Lindner. This is Bradley Clyde, I should say. More good stuff. This is Gillespie. Gillespie trying to break out of tackles with the line open. Lewis quickly into dummy half. He's got options left and right. The Kiwi defence is straggling. He's been held down. 10 minutes in the bin for Freeman.
Well, it had to be. He used the same tactic in the first half. We did score from the ensuing penalty 2 rucks later, but Gary Freeman used the same tactic in the first half. This is his second offence. We pick it up on the replay as Gillespie looks to be through, brought down in a wonderful tackle, a wonderful covering tackle, a captain's knock from Gary Freeman. He's saved 2 tries so far in this half, but then he and Dwayne Mann lay all over Gillespie. They knock him down the first time, and there's Gary Freeman with the little knees to David Gillespie to keep him down. So Freeman's in the bin for 10 minutes, and this is a real danger period for the Kiwis. Down to 12 men, the Australians, and Bob Bailey, why wouldn't he be worried?
So a gift 2 points for the Australian captain, Mal Meninga. And this should stretch their lead to 6 points.
The player who started the second half so very well is David Gillespie. It's as though Bob Fulton has said to him, look, Blocker will be back out in 10 minutes, pack 40 minutes into 10.
He's doing just that. But right now, as a result of that David Gillespie run, we have Mal Meninga with the ball set right in front of the uprights, only about 15 metres out. It should be an easy 2 points for the Australian skipper. It is. The crowd tells the story. Over it goes.
So it's 8 points to 2 on the Subaru scoreboard in favour of the Australians here at Olympic Park, Melbourne, over the Kiwis.
The Kiwis have taken plenty of time to set the ball for the restart. They know the alarm bells are ringing. Their skipper, Gary Freeman, is in the sin bin for 10 minutes. They're down to 12 men, and the Australians are on a roll and being urged on by a capacity crowd here at Olympic Park tonight.
Yes, and of course, a statistic which shows the play of the second half. Australia has made 1 error, New Zealand 4.
Powerful stuff by Martin Bella. Backed up this time by Bobby Lindner. Almost as big Lindner, 105 kilos of him. Dragged down 22 metres out. Walters. Walters goes for a little dash himself, and he's got Langer on the inside. Langer has support from Shearer, and here's Meninga, crunching tackle by McCracken. Great stuff from the Canterbury centre. Now the Australians pop it up. Steve Walters has got it. Don't know what his kicking prowess is like, but it's not all that bad. Down it goes to Frano Botica outside his own quarter line. It's 1-on-1. He pops it out to Williams. Williams running it over the Australian halfway line, and in comes a touchdown.
Yes, and it was an incident where McCracken elbowed an Australian player in back play. Martin Weeks had no hesitation in coming straight onto the field.
The player was the kicker, Steve Walters, who's holding the left side of his jaw as the referee talks to Brent Todd. Will go down sideline with John Brady.
Yes, definitely hitting bat play there, Walters, and Fatty Borton, you had the best view of it. It was just spot on.
Yeah, it was Jarrod McCracken came through with an elbow, and he could be in trouble. They look pretty serious on the telly there.
Well, interestingly enough, it was Jarrod McCracken who came through, but they've called out Brent Todd. Now, finally, McCracken is being called over by referee Holdsworth. Originally, they called over Todd. They looked like they got the wrong man.
Well, perhaps Todd is representing Gary Freeman out there as skipper at the moment with Freeman in the bin.
Well, he's the most experienced forward on the paddock for the Kiwis. Why wouldn't he be, even though Brent Todd is only 26 years of age. He's played in 2 premiership winning sides for Canberra.
McCracken certainly got a head of steam up. He's the leading tackler in the second half from both teams.
Well,
penalties 7-4 in favour of the Australians.
I think Bob Bailey and the Kiwis will breathe a sigh of relief. Jarrod McCracken is out there to continue. They're already down to 12 men as Freeman is in the bin for 10 minutes. They work it, a set move by the forwards, and this is Bradley Clyde inside the quarter line. The Australians on the boil again. Langer screaming for it. He's got it now. He has Lewis outside. The defence was coming up quickly. I think Langer took the right option, took it himself, because they were sitting in Lewis and Meninga's pocket out there. Walters from dummy half to his captain. Space. There's space over here. It's to Clyde on the inside to Ettingshausen, who can't get over.
Ettinghausen's lost the ball, in fact, under heavy pressure. I did think the last pass was forward, or the second last pass, the wide one. But there's signs of telltale frustration from these Kiwis in defence. Not only the elbow that we're seeing as we pick up now the replay, Meninga with a big overhead pass, the one-hander to Linda. Linda, that pass was the one that I believe was forward, and then Bradley Clyde gets it inside to Ettinghausen, who was swamped in defence by Peter Brown.
Full marks to the New Zealand cover defence. As we said, they are down to 12 men, and yet there was 2 or 3 tacklers there to try and snuff out that potential try-scoring move. So the Kiwis now have to do it tough again and work it out from their own quarter line. And they do it well. This is Watson with a little break. Got up, played the ball forward and made 20 metres. Now they're on a roll. Here comes Peter Brown. He starts a chain passing move, but Meninga in there with a heavy tackle. That was Colotto he flattened, but they keep it alive out here. Blackmore. If this man can get wound up, he can be dangerous. He's big, he's fast, and he's strong. And here he goes, Richie Blackmore. He's only got Hauff to beat. He pops it on the outside to McCracken. McCracken is going to beat them all for a brilliant Kiwi try. What a comeback. What a try.
And McCracken, the youngster who last year, as I said, was playing in Port Macquarie, has capitalised as the Kiwis make a bust from what was broken play after Colotto had lost the ball. Blackmore was the man who stepped inside, then went down the right-hand flank. He went in and away beautifully to position McCracken. McCracken just had too much of a head of steam up and got over the line despite the cover defence of Andrew Ettingshausen, one of the fastest players on the field. We pick it up from the front on replay. The ball, as we said, had gone to ground, but Blackmore steps inside, then goes away from Meninga. He beats Shearer, then down the touchline he goes. Too much pace for Mal Meninga, the Australian captain. The in and away that you'll see coming up now, there it is. And then the ball on the outside, he beautifully positioned McCracken, and McCracken goes over to score. And this is a real test match here at Olympic Park.
And it was a great effort by Andrew Ettingshausen to cross from one side of the field to the other as the sole final defender.
So 8 points to 6 on the Subaru scoreboard. And here is Frano Botica virtually from the sideline with a chance to tie it up at Olympic Park.
Botica on the 22-metre line, as John said, only about a half a metre in from touch. This is the toughest one he's had tonight. It's going to miss to the right-hand side. So a sigh of relief from the Australians, and what a performance by the Kiwis. A near length of the field try while their skipper was off the field in the sin bin, and that has thrown this test match wide open yet again.
Yes, 8-6 on the Subaru scoreboard, and those tries, as they so often can against a well-organised defence like Australia's, it came from broken play, from when Colotto put that ball down after the heavy hit from Meninga.
There's the restart from Meninga. Bouncing awkwardly for the Kiwis, but it'll be fielded down there and they're in goal. The Australian defensive line coming up as one. And they meet Williams about 10 metres outside his own try line.
Not often you see a side score when they've got 12 men on the field.
Let alone a try as spectacular as the last one we've just witnessed. This is Watson. He's been dangerous with these little spurts. Brown has got it to the quarter line. They're going to put the boot to it. It's over towards Dale Shearer's ring. He's sprinting back quickly to field it. Bounces awkwardly for him. Steve Roach is back on the field. Shearer gets it 10 metres outside his own quarter line to Hauff. Wasn't a great play the ball, but it wasn't Shearer's fault by the same token. He was being pushed and shoved in there. Lindner trying to struggle out of tackles. They're going to run it the same way. Here's Blocker. He's been stitched and he's ready for action again. Langer wants it. He'll receive it. He has runners. Now he dummies towards Ian Robertson, tries to shrug away from tacklers, but he can't do it. Bella on the surge. As the Kiwis ponder changes, Clayton Friend warming up. Chatting there to Gary Freeman. He's been in good form, Clayton Friend. Lewis with a towering punt kick. Botica under pressure. He's dropped it forward. He'll clean it up, but boy, he was lucky to do so. Bradley Clyde was sitting in his pocket and ready to swoop. So the Kiwis under more pressure as Clayton Friend jogs onto the field.
We'll go sideline with John Brady. It looks like Tony Kemp's the man to come off, John.
Yes, Tony Kemp coming off and didn't look at all happy about it. That'll bring Freeman on the field. A couple of weeks ago, of course, in that test, they replaced Freeman with Friend. Friend scored a try as soon as he got on the field, so keep an eye on him. Freeman coming back on now as well.
Lewis and Meninga, thanks to John Brady down there. They've worked that move a lot in their long careers as well. 33rd test tonight for Wally Lewis, the 30th for the Australian captain Mal Meninga. Lewis, dummy, running himself. He's still got a little sprint there, Wally Lewis. They work it the same way to Steve Roach, and there's a little hole in the middle. He gets it to 10 metres out. The Australians on the boil. They want to go the same way. Langer calls it the open side. The long cutout ball to Meninga. This is danger. Here's Johns trying to set it up for Ettingshausen. He couldn't get the ball away. Ettingshausen into dummy half. Work it back the other way. Here's the high kick from Langer. Plenty of Australians over there. Shearer takes it, drops it back. I think he meant to drop it towards Paul Hauff, but Hauff had already set off looking for the pass the other way. And so the Kiwis will come up with it. Cleaning up was Brent Todd. Boy, hasn't this second half been played at a lightning pace, Roy?
Yes, I don't think Bob Fulton would be totally happy with Dale Shearer. His club form has not been good. He let a man go past in the Kiwi try. And, of course, he is a Fulton favourite. Bozo's always admired him as a player, and he would feel a bit disappointed.
This is the replacement, Clayton Friend, on the field. Pops it up to Colours.
Interesting to see what they do with Friend. I'd imagine he'll go to halfback and they'll play Freeman at 5'8".
As Freeman is back on the field, popping it out. Wasn't a good pass out there to Williams, though, but Williams still doing well, trying to beat men. Strong player, and then pops it back to Freeman, who throws it ahead. Could this be a penalty? Meninga will get time. Oh, Meninga turned his back on Freeman. Tit for tat, the two captains have had 10 minutes in the sin bin each. Meninga looking incredulous, but it doesn't matter. Referee John Holdsworth has sent him to the bin.
And as we watch it on the replay, with Freeman putting in the little chip on the last, Meninga turns his back on him. I still think it's a fairly harsh decision from Holdsworth to put Meninga in the bin, but by the same token, Freeman was never going to get that ball, so Meninga was a needless piece of play to turn his back on him.
So what a seesawing affair we've seen here at Olympic Park. The fans are loving it. They wanted to see good rugby league. They've certainly got it. The Kiwis on the charge. Australia down to 12 men, and Williams has been pushed into touch. Penalty, I think.
Yes, most certainly, yes.
It's a scrum, and it was dumb play from the Kiwis to go out on the second tackle when you've got a side that's down to 12 men as Mal Meninga walks into the bin. That was plain dumb play, and Bob Bailey wouldn't be happy from an international side to allow themselves to be put into touch on the second tackle in a good attacking position.
Hauff working first pass off the scrum. This is Roberts. Roberts to about 11 metres outside his own quarter line. Plenty of options for Walters. He pops it to blocker Roach, who, as John Brady told us, has 14 stitches in a head wound. Courageous performance by him. Bella on the charge. Working it towards halfway. Walters to Langer. Langer will put the boot and find open spaces. That's away from Frano Botica. He has a long chase back near his own in goal. Bounces awkwardly for it. Oh boy, now that was lucky. Ettingshausen was coming in for the tackle, and he was cleaned up from behind by Williams, who was running back onside. He, in fact, knocked Ettingshausen into Botica. Friend up. Brent Todd with a big head of steam and running it up well. Pops it back to Friend. Friend dummies one way, but quickly in there goes the defence.
What a remarkable resurgence it is in Clayton Friend's career too. Former North Sydney halfback, was played with Ryan Eastwood.
Here they go on the burst. Here's McCracken again. He's there all night. This great little jack in the box, and he's flattened in a sandwich tackle. But good stuff. The pass from Dean Lonergan.
And what a resurgence by Lonergan, who was wiped out in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Friend with space. He uses the chip again. He and Langer. It was Freeman, I should say. And Langer has been cleaned up, but he did clean up a very dangerous situation for Australia. He's been an inspiration tonight, Gary Freeman, despite the fact that he spent 10
seconds. Then to step in, he had a 4-on-3 situation.
Well, there's Blocker on the burst, taking 3 Kiwi defenders with him. And that hurt Gary Freeman. He's struggling slowly back into position.
He's been injured in that tackle, Bob Lindner.
And he's lost the ball.
Well, hopefully the referee has seen what's happened then. Every person in the crowd has seen that. That ball was hit out of Lindner's hands as he was down injured, but now the Kiwis are back on the attack. A disgraceful decision from Holdsworth.
And they're going to come close here, the Kiwis. They've got Australia under pressure. The ball's been popped up. Lindner's still down, and they've called for the stretcher, remembering he's only just a couple of weeks back from a broken leg. Freeman to Todd in the line out wide. This is Brown. They get around Lindner to Botica. Botica to Blackmore, and the big man is going to score, and he's going to run it a little bit closer. Richie Blackmore is over for the Kiwis' second try. They had the Australian defence shot to pieces. Mal Meninga is in the sin bin.
So on the Subaru scoreboard, a 12-man Australian side trails 10 points to 8 as the Kiwis go in to score after a terrible decision from John Holdsworth. Bobby Lindner was on the ground holding the football. He had the ball clearly knocked out of his hands by a Kiwi defender, yet he ruled a turnover. Here on the United Airlines replay, we see Todd getting the pass away. Brown's pass was ordinary, but it was brilliantly picked up on the half volley by Botica, and Botica has beaten Dale Shearer pointless, and not Botica, Blackmore, and goes over to score. We pick it up again. So Shearer has missed 2 tackles, and has led to tries for the Kiwis. And you said, Roy Masters, that Bob Foot wouldn't be happy. Will he be very disappointed at the moment?
Roy, will come back to you in just a moment. Bob Lindner is being taken off on a stretcher. John Brady and Paul Hauff are on the sideline.
Yes, mate. Bob Lindner, the second he went over, he turned to Sheriff Hollis coming on there and said, I think I've broken it. Now, of course, that means that he's done it again. It's a tragedy for Bob Lindner. He was almost in tears on the ground, in a hell of a lot of pain, obviously, and just going through emotionally so much. But the word is that he think he has broken his leg.
Well, leading the stretcher bearers there is Dr. Nathan Gibbs, and he'll be giving him the best of attention in the dressing rooms. But if that's the case, John Brady, as you said, it is an absolute tragedy for one of the finest footballers in this country that he should break his leg a second time in one season after making such a courageous comeback for Queensland in the State of Origin series. Back to the game where Frano Botica has it set. 10 metres in from touch on the quarter line. It looks pretty good in flight. The crowd like it. So do the touch judges. Up they go. And New Zealand extend their lead here at Olympic Park.
On the Subaru scoreboard, the Kiwis now lead by 12 points to 8. Will we see an upset at Olympic Park?
Remember how it all began. Everybody said you'd go far, but you never dreamed you'd be a star. Welcome to America. Let us take you by the hand. Welcome to United's friendly skies all over our great land.
You'll probably never need to go to all the places United go to in America. But isn't it kind of nice to know you can?
So welcome to America.
And where are you off to today?
We're going home.
Home. That's one of our most popular destinations.
Welcome to United's friendly skies all over our great land.
Wally Lewis has it set for Australia with Mal Meninga in the sin bin, and John Cartwright will come on and take the place of Bob Linder.
There's also a change for the Kiwis. Let's go sideline with Paul Vaughton, who's down there, and George Mann is on.
George Mann has come on, and what a good player he is. St Helens' Player of the Year last year, and he's on the burst right now.
Huge man, George Mann, cousin of the Kiwi hooker Dwayne Mann, and plenty of family ties here tonight. Clayton Friend with a little dash from dummy half to McCracken.
What a debut for McCracken.
He has been very, very impressive, the 21-year-old. This is George Mann, his cousin Dwayne into dummy half on the 5th tackle. Send that kick breaking downfield. Hauff will pick it up about 10 metres from his own line. Start to run it around, but boy, isn't this Kiwi chasing defence very, very willing now. They've got their nose in front in this test match at Olympic Park. The crowd, there's a lot of them Kiwis, they're urging him on. There's a little gap for Andrew Ettingshausen, but who was the man who closed it? It was that man, Jarrod McCracken, yet again. What a game he's had.
Interestingly to see that Bob Fulton was elected to put the ball player, John Cartwright, on. That's because Australia is behind. He'll be hoping that Cartwright can spark something in attack. If they were leading narrowly, he would have put David Gillespie back on for Linder.
Lewis to Cartwright, he slips, first touch of the ball. Walters, Lewis, send it downfield, try to settle things down for our shell-shocked Australia here at the moment. Here comes the try scorer, Richie Blackmore. We have about 15 minutes left in this test match at Olympic Park. The crowd are cheering, everyone loving this football, and why wouldn't they? It's been a sensational match so far. This is Clayton Friend, about 10 metres outside his own quarterway, just trying to slow things down a bit to give his full by George Mann. They work at the blind side again. This is Cowboy Lonergan, who took that heavy head knock, charging it up to the half. Freeman calls for it. Pops it to Friend. Swivels, dummies, skipper, and they start running it back towards that outer side. They're falling off their tackles, the Australians, and the Kiwis are allowed to run the ball. Coloto charging it downfield, all 110 kilos of him.
But it's been knocked on, and there's some more movement on the Australian bench. Let's go sideline with John Brady.
Yes, David Gillespie coming on, and the bad news from the dressing room, Bob Linder very sure that is the same leg and it's broken, and he is just not in a very good way at all. They've just had to help him into the room. They'll very shortly take him away for x-rays.
He's receiving treatment for the Kiwis here. He's a key player on this side as well. Scrum infringement, but no penalty resulting.
As the Australians at the moment have Bradley Clyde out in the centres.
Langer losing it backwards. They are under pressure, Bob Fulton's Australians, with about 12 minutes remaining in this test match. Long pass to Lewis. He's going to have to run it himself from there. Away from the tackle of Freeman, he can't do so.
And fair enough, Australia were holding down in the play the ball, and then Holdsworth walks them another 10 metres from young David Watson.
So movement on both benches. Patton is warming up for the Kiwis. Penalties 8-5 to Australia. Finds touch just inside the Kiwi half. Pressure time for the Aussies. Way back. And a good run by Martin Bella. Where's the support? Great stuff, Martin Bella, but then he's undone that good work. Brent Todd will come up with it, but I think we're going to see a scrum packed about 32 metres out from the Kiwi line.
As we pick it up here in the replay, and Martin Bella, a surging run, but then unfortunately undoes the good work as the little arm comes in from Brent Todd and knocks that ball out. Mal Meninga coming back on the field. The second half penalties favour Australia 4-1, but the scoreboard doesn't. It's 12 points to 8 on the Subaru scoreboard.
One of the problems with the Australian team is that they're looking to set up rehearsed moves. They're taking the ball up for 1 and 2 tackles, and they're looking to do their big effort on the 3rd or the 4th tackle. The Kiwis are throwing it around on the very 1st and 2nd tackle. That's the reason why they're getting
to New Zealand, and we've seen a lot of stoppages in this last 5 or 10 minutes of play. It's been crucial stuff. Muir is back on the field for the Aussies.
And there's the replay with Wally Lewis laying all over the tackled Kiwi player.
But the crowd are roaring here at Olympic Park. They're loving every minute of it. The underdogs, can they do it? Australia going into this test match as warm favourites. Lonergan, Mercer is already on the field for the Kiwis as both Bailey and Fulton the changes. This is George Mann trying to bump away from tackles. He can't do that but can pop the pass. Colotto, keep it alive. If Freeman away, he can't. There was plenty of support outside and they're on halfway in centre field. Clayton Friend with a good little chip kick. He's going to kick it and chase it ahead. He's got the break on Paul Hauff. Look at the big man take strides. Has he got it down?
It's a try.
He's awarded a try to Clayton Friend. What a brilliant solo effort. None of the Australians are disputing. It'll be interesting to see this one from head on as to who exactly bumped the ball forward. But that could be the clincher here at Olympic Park.
With 11 minutes to go on the Subaru scoreboard, the Kiwis now lead by 16 points to 8 as Clayton Friend has come on once again as he did against the French. We'll see it here on the United Airlines replay. He's come up with a try. Clayton Friend, the former North Sydney halfback. He tries a little chip over the top. They said Paul Hauff might be found wanting on the ball on the ground, but Hauff wasn't wanting in that stage, just couldn't get there quick enough. Hauff has died for him as he put the boot to the ball again. It looks from that replay that he's got it down, but the important one will be this one. The ball is kicked through by Clayton Friend. Now Paul Hauff appears to attempt to interfere with Clayton Friend. And I think we'll find that Friend has clearly got this ball down. This is the important moment here. Yes, it's come off Paul Hauff's arms, not Clayton Friend's, and he clearly grounds the ball. It's a try, a fair try, and a good decision from John Holdsworth. The Kiwis are headed for an upset at Olympic Park.
Well, that Englishman must have eyes in the back of his head, the front of his head, the top of his head, because he did a wonderful decision to award that try.
Frano Botica has it set, 2 from 4. About 8 metres in from touch. Again, he seems to use the quarter line as his guide. Is it going to scrape inside the left-hand upright? It does.
And it's 18 points to 8 on the Subaru scoreboard, and that's the test match at Olympic Park. Australia in a lot of trouble inside the last 10. They'll bring this back quickly for the restart.
Welcome back to Olympic Park, and a good quick kick-off from Mal Meninga. This time there's urgency in the Australian camp, but boy, has this test match slipped from them. 18 points to 8, a 10-point buffer for the Kiwis. We're inside the final 10 minutes here at Olympic Park. An historic first test, the first test played in Australia outside of the league strongholds of New South Wales and Queensland, and 28,000 fans here at Olympic Park have been treated to a great game of football. It's not over yet. Australia can resurrect something, but the Kiwis are playing fantastic football. That's Lonergan.
And plenty of them are Kiwis of those 28,000. Pat, I'm pretty happy when Friend went over to score that try.
Ettingshausen fumbles it backwards. He has Hauff in support. He doesn't need him. Beats the first tackle, but there's plenty of Kiwi defence there to drive him into the Olympic Park third. Hauff at dummy half will go for a little dash himself. Just outside the quarter line. Walters at dummy half. They're going to have to throw it. Gillespie bumping away from one tackle, but 3 other defenders there to knock him to the ground. They want it on a long blind, but Cartwright will take it on the open side. Now he pops the ball. That's what he's famous for, John Cartwright. Got it to Chris Johns. Johns is allowed to stand to Andrew Ettingshausen, and he loses his footing. But the Australians on the roll. The Kiwis, some of them struggling back into position. Langer to Lewis. Lewis looking inside. Pops it up. He thought Meninga might have been there, and Meninga has to clean up. But Meninga is driven back by McCracken some 15 metres. So the Australians 10 metres inside their own half on the 5th tackle. Langer under pressure to get this kick away. Beats his man well. That was Dwayne Mann, and gets it downfield where Frano Botica is waiting for it. He'll march it up himself. Shearer's first line. Clyde will eventually grab him and drive him into the ground. McCracken at dummy half. This is Blackmore, the giant winger. Already scored 1 try tonight. It's his 4th try in test football. Cowboy Lonergan has done a power of work for the Kiwis as well, remembering he took that very heavy head knock in the opening seconds of the game. George Mann to about 5 metres from his own halfway. They start to swing it wide to Friend, charging onto it. That's Nikau. Nikau plays it forward.
It's a very good tactic to play Clayton Friend at 5'8". You've got two nippy guys on in the last 10 minutes when the Australians on the edge of the ruck will tire.
Great skills from Nikau, playing it forward and then putting the boot in well behind the Australian defence and finding touch only about 5 metres from the Australian line. And again, the Aussies under pressure. Here it is. Straight up and knew exactly what he was doing. Tawera Nikau.
And there's just 6 minutes left for play. Australia trailing by 10 points on the Subaru scoreboard. The Kiwis in front, 18-8 at Olympic Park, and they've won one against the feed.
Frano Botica close to the line, stepping, almost got around his man. Hauff cleans up the situation for Australia. Here they go again. Oh, this is good stuff from the Kiwis. That's Gary Mercer, only a few metres out. Balmain to Clayton Friend, the try scorer. Trying to step past Langer. He achieves that. They've set him go on the blind side again. Mercer in a dummy half. The Australians are under tremendous pressure.
They've stacked the blind.
Brent Todd dragged down. Good Australian defence. Mercer a dummy half again to his skipper Freeman with the little kick through. It's been juggled and there is another try. The man who put the kick in just a few moments ago, Tawera Nikau, is over. And if the last try didn't wrap it up, Roy Masters, this one certainly does. They have completely outplayed Australia in the second half.
Absolutely, and it's a tactical victory for the coach. We've always known that Hauff would always have trouble picking up the ball in his own quarter.
As we pick it up here on the United Airlines replay, that was the man that we worried about, Paul Hauff, with the ball on the ground. We know he's very, very safe indeed with the high ball. Paul Hauff, a big lanky fellow, has trouble getting down quickly, and there he is. He comes up with a mistake, and Nikau goes over to score and wrap this game up for the Kiwis. We look at it once more. Gary Freeman putting the ball through. The interesting thing is whether Nikau was onside. I believe he was. I believe that Nikau was onside as Freeman put that kick through, so the Kiwis lead 22 points to 8 on the Subaru scoreboard with this kick to come.
Frano Botica makes no mistake. It's now 24 points to 8 here at Olympic Park. Australia's goose is cooked in the first test ever played in Melbourne, and the crowd are not leaving their seats. They've loved every minute of an engrossing match.
And the tail of the statistics, which is the most important one. Total errors: Australia 27, New Zealand 19.
Mal Meninga will restart proceedings, as he's had to do far too often for his liking in this second half. But the game is all over. The Kiwis have it wrapped up. And they're still showing a willingness to run.
Well, with 4 minutes left for play, it looks like...
dragged down heavily.
With 4 minutes left for play, Pat, it looks like the Kiwis are determined to try and get more points on the board.
Kicks in general play, and the Kiwis have used that breeze in the second half. It's not a huge breeze. 22-16, favouring the Kiwis in the kicks in general play, and they have used it very well indeed. This is the replacement, Mike Patton. Bob Bailey using all his 17 players tonight and using them very well. Gary Mercer running it upfield now. Balmain, he'll put the kick in, sending Dale Shearer back again. Shearer takes it on the full. What can Shearer do? Trying to step around Freeman, but the little skipper, Captain Courageous, he has spent 10 minutes in the bin, but what a great game he's had for New Zealand.
You say, what can Shearer do? Shearer's going to have to score about 4 tries if he's going to play for Australia in the second test.
A try a minute as we count down to full time.
Penalty to Australia. Hands in the ruck, reefing that ball from Paul Hauff. Gary Mercer was the man charged as Lewis now finds touch with this game, as we said, all wrapped up. The Kiwis leading 24-8 on the Subaru scoreboard.
Well, not only has he organised his attack and defence superbly, but Gary Freeman has also got through 17 tackles tonight. Has missed very few. Cartwright wants it. Look for someone running beside him. Johns is lurking, but this time Cartwright can't unload. 32.5 metres out.
And the performances of McCracken, Blackmore and Watson can't be underestimated. 3 young men in the Kiwi three-quarters have all played exceptional roles in this quite remarkable victory.
Langer. They're going to have to throw at the Australians, but Langer is wrapped up well. Another man who has led by example, and that's Brent Todd. One of the more experienced players in this Kiwi side as Meninga chips ahead. Is he going to regather? He tosses it back. A fend-off over there, tosses it back inside to Clyde. Clyde stepping, they keep it going, but Freeman is intercepted. Freeman is intercepted. Has he got the pace? No, he hasn't. And he only had Lonergan outside him, so it was little point in passing. But that's the way the ball has bounced for the Australians all night tonight. And they'll be ruining the mistakes they made. Roy, they have been trounced in their second half.
Absolutely trounced. They had a chance 10 minutes into the second half to exert some dominance. Lewis had that try disallowed. After that, they seemed to crumble.
George Mann, the replacement, as the Kiwis continue to struggle out of tackles and keep this ball alive. Here they go again. They can do no wrong at the moment, the New Zealanders. That's Frano Botica dragged down about 8 metres inside his own half. Clayton Friend will kick it away from Hauff and looking for the sideline yet again. Hauff will pick it up just centimetres inside that touchline. There's 4, 5 Kiwi defenders down there for him, and they drag him to ground.
I believe the turning point in this match was when Bob Lindner broke his leg and had that ball knocked out of his hands. The decision went against the Australians. It was a turnover to the Kiwis, and they scored 2 rucks later.
True Harks, but a professional, experienced team like Australia should not have allowed that incident to unfaze them.
Little knock on from Dale Shearer, who's had a very unhappy game here for Australia.
Scrum will pack about 8 metres outside the Australian corner line. New Zealand in front by 24 points to 8. They trailed 6-2 at half-time. What a second half. And this kick is meant for Blackmore again. He's looking for try number 2. It's been booted away. He gets the pass outside, but it's gone forward, I think.
And we can tell you our clock tells us time is up, so we're in injury time at the moment. This test well and truly won by the Kiwis, 24-8 on the Subaru scoreboard.
Australia's last chance to try and drag some respectability out of this test match, but the time is ticking away quickly. There's a long pass from Lewis. It's gone astray, but it will be cleaned up as the full-time siren sounds here. It's history at Olympic Park. The Kiwis have won the first test ever played in Melbourne, and they've won it decisively, beating Australia 24 points to 8. And it has been a sensational performance by the underdogs tonight. The Kiwis have gone wild, and so has the huge Kiwi contingent. Mal Meninga, who spent 10 minutes in the sin bin, he looks dejected. He'll be even more dejected when he goes in to find his teammate. Bob Lindner has a suspected broken leg. It's been a tragic night all round for the Aussies.
And what about the performance there? You've got to give credit to the young Kiwi backline. Jarrod McCracken in particular, who had a hand, of course, in that try, scored the try set up by Richie Blackmore. Last year, he was playing in Port Macquarie. Here he is in front of 28,000 fans, starring as the Kiwis create history at Olympic Park.
And they go on their lap of honour, the Kiwis. They can look up at that scoreboard any moment now. They'll be right in front of it, and they'll see that they have walloped Australia here at Olympic Park tonight by 24 points to 8.
Well, there can be no argument with the scoreboard. 24 points to 8 to New Zealand in the first Rugby League test against Australia. A very, very convincing victory. Australia came out strongly at the beginning of the second half, and Wally Lewis looked to have a try disallowed. The Kiwis then had Freeman sent off, 10 minutes in the sin bin, and while he was off, the Kiwis scored. Let's take a look at the first of their tries by McCracken.
They're on a roll. Here comes Peter Brown. He starts a chain passing move, but Meninga in there with a heavy tackle. That was Colotto he flattened, but they keep it alive out here. Blackmore. If this man can get wound up, he can be dangerous. He's big, he's fast, and he's strong. And here he goes, Richie Blackmore. He's only got Hauff to beat. He pops it on the outside to McCracken. McCracken is going to beat them all for a brilliant Kiwi try. What a comeback. What a try.
Tremendous Kiwi try there, Paul Hauff.
A brilliant try to get New Zealand back into the game. A bit of sloppy play there, but you can see how desperate they are to keep the ball alive. Here's Blackmore. No one's ever heard of him, but he gets away from Shearer, shows outstanding pace to outsprint Meninga. Jarrod McCracken there backing up well on the right, and a beautiful try. There's Ettingshausen flying from the clouds, but too late. The front on angle now. Here's Botica. Gives it to Blackmore. Richie Blackmore, everyone thought he was lead guitarist with Deep Purple, but he's on the wing for New Zealand now. Gets away from Shearer. Meninga, not quick enough, Mal, and he draws the fullback beautifully here. Jarrod McCracken cinching the tries on, and away he goes inside the 22. A beautiful try in the corner.
Well, Richie Blackmore doing the lead-up work there, and then his turn was to come. Bob Lindner down injured for Australia, and Blackmore cut loose.
Freeman to Todd in the line out wide. This is Brown. They get around Lindner to Botica. Botica to Blackmore, and the big man is going to score, and he's going to run it a little bit closer. Richie Blackmore is over for the Kiwis' second try.
With Bob Lindner down injured, it was just a case of having the numbers out wide. A couple of props involved here. Todd and Brown just floating the ball out wide, and they're just a matter of too many people. And once again, Blackmore getting away from Dale Shearer. Very unlike of Dale to miss those tackles, but that's the try that won in the game.
Well, the Kiwis, here we see it again and replay one more time. And very, very strong as he goes over and runs around to give a better position for the conversion by Botica. And Kiwis with 2 more tries to come after that to Clayton Friend and to Tawera Nikau, put them on the scoreboard as the winners over Australia by 24 points to 8. Well, who was the man of the match? You can bet your life it's a New Zealander, and there were plenty of candidates. Here's John Brady.
Yeah, not much doubt about it being a New Zealander, Gary, and there were plenty of candidates, but one bloke who really did stand tall, particularly out there in the back line, was Jarrod McCracken. Jarrod, it was a big ask for you tonight. You had to look after Mal Meninga. You did that certainly very well.
Yeah, well, it was quite surprising. I thought they were going to use their back line more than what they did. They thought that must have thought our forward pack was weak and tried to take us on up front. But our guys handled the task very well, and they didn't get over us at all. And we just finished off out wide with, we've got plenty of flair out wide, and we used it.
Well, mate, you certainly did, and you get it for your benefit out of it from the State Bank of New South Wales, a State One cheque account to the value of $2,000. I'm sure you can have a few celebrations with that one.
Oh, yes, well needed, that's for sure.
Congratulations, mate, a sensational effort.
Okay, I'd just like to thank State Bank and Channel 7. Thank you.
A tremendous performance from the Kiwis and a tremendous performance from Jarrod McCracken.
Thank you very much, John Brady. Well, the Kiwis have cleaned up here at Olympic Park. We'll be back to clean up after this break. Well, the Kiwis are celebrating tonight. 24 points to 8. They've beaten Australia in the first 4X Rugby League test here at Olympic Park in Melbourne. Roy Masters, I've got a large slice of humble pie. Would you like to share it with me?
I will, although I did say that if Australia dominated early in the second half, they would win. Wally Lewis' try disallowed changed the entire game. It is a game where the statistics do still tell the story. Here we see that New Zealand won the tackle count. They made fewer errors. They kicked better in general play. And overall, it was a more committed performance from them, plus the fact that they moved the ball about early in the tackle count, whereas Australia were tending to set up for moves on the 3rd and 4th tackle and invariably lost the ball.
Changes for the second test for Australia?
Most certainly Shearer will go. They will look at the front row. Blocker was injured, 14 tackles in his head. They may look, of course, to the half-back position too and wonder whether they can make alterations there as well.
4 tries to 1 to New Zealand in this test match. So let's check the scorers for New Zealand. 4 tries to McCracken, Blackmore, Friend and Nikau. Frano Botica kicked 4 goals. For Australia, Steve Walters in his maiden test match scored the only try, and Mal Meninga kicked 2 goals. 24 points to 8, New Zealand victorious in the first 4X Rugby League test. The second test to be played at the football stadium in Sydney 2 weeks from today. That's Wednesday, the 24th of July. I urge you to be there if you can, but if you can't, you'll see it exclusively on the 7 Network. Until then, good night.
I'll be back in 3 weeks for the second test at the Sydney Football Stadium. See you then.